What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you to the end of the channel an update to my Volcanic burn deck for the post Battles of Legend Terminal Revenge format. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh that you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel. We're currently working our way to 2,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. So with the intro out of the way, Volcanic is a deck that has been starving, and I mean starving for support for over a decade at this point. And as we all know, the past year or so has been just nothing but insane after insane amounts of fire support, and Volcanics, I gotta say, are eating really, really good. They may not be the most competitive deck, obviously, in the format currently, but in my opinion, it is the most fun fire variant to play, as opposed to any other fire decks you could be running, like Infernoid or Salamangreat, or even like a pure Snake Eye list. Obviously, if you're trying to sweat really hard, that's what you know you'd be playing. But Volcanics, they're much more than that to me. Not only do they have a ridiculously hilarious and sacky FTK, which is even easier to do now post-battles, thanks to the help of some new support like this card here, but the deck is just absolutely fun and can actually really dominate like a locals environment, or if you're playing amongst your friends. So I decided to update the deck list post-battles because, like I said, there was some really good support that came out of that set for Volcanic specifically, and I felt like it was just appropriate to bring you guys an updated list. It is still a 60 card deck, and that's only because I still feel like Volcanic plays better at 60 in my opinion, because they have such a large engine requirement that it's hard to justify like non-engine slots while keeping the deck still closer to 40. So I just said screw it and decided to play a 60 variant again, and it's been working out extremely well. Now, even though yes, this is a casual deck, I am still using some of the Snake Eye cards, which I know a lot of you may roll your eyes at, but that is only because in order to facilitate the FTK, at least currently, with the new support, Volcanic by themselves cannot establish the amount of bodies necessary to achieve the FTK. And I'll maybe talk more about that if I do a combos and test hands video for this deck. Let's just say if this video gets 35 likes, I'll bring you guys the combos and test hands. But with the intro and stuff out of the way, I don't want to waste any more time. Let's dive headfirst into the world of Volcanic. So we're going to start things off with a playset of the brand new Electro Blaster out of the Battles of Legend Terminal Revenge set. Level 4 Fire Machine effect monster that states, if I normal or special summon a fire monster or monsters, except during the damage step, I can special summon this card from my hand. Then you can, as an optional effect, send a level 8 Pyro from deck to grave. Now that's all one effect, the special and the send. So unfortunately it can be vulnerable to Ash, but like I said, this is just a casual deck list anyway, just designed to have a lot of fun with. And to be fair, most players wouldn't really Ash that if they know what they're doing, because that's not the best trope point for this deck. In addition to that, he has another effect where once per turn, if a spell card is activated, you can make all fire monsters you currently control gain 300 attack. So not only is this card a much needed extender for the Volcanic archetype, but it also lets you bin a level 8 Pyro. Now obviously that screams Volcanic Emperor. However, we are playing an extra target in the deck to send off of this card's effect, which we'll talk about later. But overall, a very much needed extender you definitely want to max out on at 3 copies. Up next, we bumped up Rocket to a 3 of, only because Rocket in tandem with Electro Blaster works out so well, not only to make rank 4 plays, but just to make link plays and whatnot. So we bumped Rocket from the original count of 1 to 3, and it's still a great starter. I mean, it just gets you to a Blaze Accelerator card from the deck or the grave to hand, and it's not even once per turn, so very easily abusable, especially in a deck that can recycle it like this one. Then we have 3 Trooper, again just the new starter for the Volcanic theme. Upon normal or special, you add a Volcanic card from deck to hand, and then he can also discard any card from your hand to produce a bomb token to the opponent's field, which I felt like bringing you guys the Volcanic list on the 4th of July at time of recording just felt appropriate, because they like to blow things up. Now, I know a lot of people do not run Scattershot. However, in my honest opinion, I don't feel like it's a Volcanic deck if you're not playing Scattershot. Again, I already stated this is not the most competitive version of the deck, but it is focused on just burning the absolute shit out of your opponent. Pardon my expression, but this deck is literally just gonna FTK so easily. And like I said, I will gladly show you guys the new combo if you get the video to 35 likes. But Scattershot, in my opinion, is just a mainstay. You're truly not playing Volcanic unless you're running Scattershot in the main board at 3. Just a really amazing card overall. Then of course we also have the playset of Volcanic Shell. Pretty self-explanatory there. Shell is just an insane enabler for this deck. You read it and it doesn't seem like much, but in practice, and those of you who've played Volcanic before understand how impactful Shell can actually be. Then we do have 2 copies of Rimfire still, followed by the 2 copies of the Volcanic Emperor, the new boss monster for the theme. Both of these cards as 2-ofs are perfect ratio in my opinion, and now we even have an additional way to get Emperor to the graveyard via the means of the Electro Blaster that we got, which is, like I said, an amazing card. And something that I glossed over, the fact that Electro Blaster is actually a machine type actually comes up and is very relevant for the purposes of the FTK itself, which again we'll talk more about once we get to the extra deck and how that's facilitated. But 2 Rimfire, 2 Emperor, and that's going to wrap up our actual Volcanic monster ratios. Now moving into the remaining monsters, we do play 3 copies of the Black Witch. Now again, like I said, I know a lot of you guys are rolling your eyes. To be fair, you know, these cards are not as expensive as they previously were. Diabelle has been dropping pretty hard in price. To be honest, I think she's somewhere close to the $30 mark at time of recording, as opposed to like the $60, $70 mark she was when I first originally made my Volcanic list. But to be honest, Volcanics, as cool as they are, they still need an extra bit of push, especially to play through disruptions. Even if you go to locals, you already know this is a hand trap centric format. Your opponent's going to be throwing everything that, you know, in the kitchen sink your way. You need ways to be able to extend, and like there's really no way around it. The Diabelle and the Snake Eye cards are just the best way to do that. Whether or not you dislike that, I mean, that's honestly your opinion, but I've been testing this deck for quite a bit, and it's still Volcanic through and through. I mean, we're really only playing like 1-ofs of all the Snake Eyes. Obviously, we're on 3 Black Witch, but that's really just because she's an amazing starter. She gets you to OSS, and OSS can get you into your Volcanic cards like Rimfire and Shell, which is obviously really important. So 3 Black Witch, you know, just for the consistency, it is a 60-card deck list. Now moving on to the Snake Eyes, we have 1 Ash, 1 Oak, 1 Poplar, 1 Snake Eye Diabelle Star, and then if I can fit it here on the screen, 1 Flamberge Dragon. Now again, I know a lot of people have, you know, less than popular opinions about these cards, and a lot of people feel like they should be banned. I'm kind of in the same boat. I think this deck does need to be addressed in some way, but these cards as 1-ofs just serve as a toolbox option to help facilitate getting more bodies onto the field. That way you can actually combo and be able to produce the brand new FTK that's needed. I'm really just using these cards as extenders. They're not even really starters. I mean, they are starters, but as you can see, they're literally all 1-ofs. Now, do you have to play this? No. If you're really on that much of a budget and you're just trying to play Volcanics, you can easily cut these cards, play non-engine, you know, play hand traps like Imperm, Ash, whatever your heart desires. But for the purposes of this particular deck, I'm running the Snake Eye cards just because I know they do increase the ceiling of the deck by quite a bit. And even if your FTK gets disrupted, they also give you something to fall back on in terms of like being able to establish disruptions for your opponent to play through, which is obviously really good. Up next, we have 1 Agnimal Candle, followed by the 1 Awakening of the Possessed, Greater Inari Fire, and brand new to the deck, 1 Mag Macho Dragon, who happens to be a level 8 Pyro. This is our other target that we can dump off of our Electro Blaster, since he can send a level 8 Pyro monster from deck to grave. Mag Macho Dragon is another level 8 Pyro that we can bin. Pretty cool card in the graveyard. He can, if a fire monster we control is destroyed by battle or by card effect, or excuse me, only by card effect, my apologies, and he's in the graveyard, we can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field, and then we draw 1 card. Also, while he's on the field, he can banish up to 3 fire monsters from our grave, and he gains 400 attack for each card banished until the end of the turn. So just a way for you to like banish more pyros, that way when you do summon an Emperor, the burn hits even harder, and like I said, it's pretty much a free additional dump off of the Electro Blaster, putting an additional Pyro in the grave to begin with that we can banish to summon Emperor himself anyway. And then obviously Greater Inari Fire is crucial to the FTK. And then Agnimal Candle is a new card I'm actually testing with. Kind of functions like a Poplar. If it's added to the hand except by drawing it, you can just special summon it. And then once per chain, up to thrice per turn. Yes, you heard that right, 3 times per turn. If a monster is sent to the graveyard, or to your graveyard, You can increase or decrease this card's level by 1. And if you notice, he is a tuner monster, which gives us synchro access finally in a deck that previously didn't have it. So I've been testing this as a one-of, and it's actually worked out really well. Because sometimes you do open the one-of Poplar, and like if you want to like have Bonfire search something that's like an extender, Agnimal Candle's your go-to. Not only can it is a great level for making Xyz plays, but also because it's a tuner and modulates its level, can even get you access into certain synchros, which is really nice. So those are some of the newer cards that we're running. Up next, again, as far as playing a way to make this deck be able to push and eat through disruption and give it a much higher ceiling, we're also playing a small Horus package consisting of 3 Imseti and a 1 Happy. Now again, if you guys are on a budget, I'm well aware that these cards still aren't the most affordable. However, a lot of this stuff should be getting reprints in the upcoming Megatins this September, I believe. So these cards will definitely be much cheaper and much more available. But the Horus package is just a way for us to get some really clean discards out of our hand, like, you know, cards like Shell, Rimfire. A lot of the Volcanics actually do want to be engraved naturally. So giving them a discard outlet like Horus is just perfect for that. It also helps us establish more bodies on board and just gives us, again, that much higher ceiling that Volcanic tends to lack. Then to round out the last monster in the deck, we do play a playset of Ghost Mourner. It's just the only non-engine, really, that we play as far as a hand trap goes, simply because not only does it function like a Veiler, but you can actually hear the fireworks exploding in the background. My dogs are going crazy. Where was I? Yeah, so Mourner also burns the opponent if the monster that we negate leaves the field. So I just felt it was appropriate since this deck is taking more of a burn focus. So playing a playset of Mourner obviously makes sense. That runs out the monsters. Now moving into the spells, we do play triple copies of Volcanic Blaze, followed by the 1 original Blaze. VBA is just an amazing card, especially when going second. It just eats through boards like nobody's business, not only allowing you to special additional Volcanics from hand, but also being able to foolish Pyros to pop cards in the opponent's field. Then obviously we do have the 3 Bonfire. Now again, I know this card is really expensive, and there is no guarantee this will be in the Megatins. If you're on a budget, you don't have to play Bonfire, but again, if you want the most consistent version, you have to unfortunately play the Bonfires. So that's pretty much where that's at. Then obviously, since we're on the 3 Diabel, we're also on the 3 Wanted. Again, this should also be getting a reprint in the Megatin, so it shouldn't be as hard to access as it used to be. Plus, not to mention, at time of recording now, this card is much, much cheaper than it was before. This was like a $100 card at one point. Now I want to say it's floating around like a $30 mark. So it went from being a $300 playset to like a $90 playset, which I know obviously isn't budget, but it's obviously much more attainable than, you know, being a $300 playset. Then we do play the 1 OSS, followed by the 1 Divine Temple. Again, OSS is just here to search off the Diabel, just giving us access into either any of our Snake Eyes or the Rimfire or Shell. And then Divine Temple is just here to also establish more Snake Eye plays. Just in the event that the FTK does get disrupted, we have something to fall back on. Then because we're on the Horus package, we do play the double King Sark. Pretty self-explanatory there. And then we also play a playset of Fire Ejection. This is basically an in-archetype Foolish Burial for any Pyro. However, if you send a Volcanic specifically, you can either burn the opponent for 100 damage times the sent monster's level, or you can special summon a bomb token to their field. This card can function as a pseudo starter of sorts, allowing you to bin certain cards that you can easily bring out of the graveyard and then continue on with your plays. Plus, giving your opponent a bomb token early on shuts down cards like Imperm, prevents them from going into like evenly matched against you and whatnot. It's actually pretty useful. Then we do play 2 copies of Fire Recovery, again, just because you have an easy way to get access into your graveyard and also recover some of your banished Pyros. And then brand new to the deck is 1 copy of Oil. Again, this is kind of functioning like a salvage, but for fire decks, just allowing you to bring back any level 4 or lower fires from your graveyard back to the hand is obviously very strong. And that rounds out the spell cards, and then for the last remaining cards, they're just 3 traps. Again, this is a 60 card list. 1 Blaze Accelerator Reload, 1 copy of Volcanic Emission, the trap of choice to set off of Emperor, followed by the 1 Spiritual Fire Art Kurenai, pretty much our target to go off of for the Great Inari Fire, which again plays heavily into the FTK line. So that rounds out the 60 card Volcanic Burn deck list. Now we're going to be diving into the extra deck really quickly, of which we play brand new to the extra deck 1 copy of Blaze Phoenix, the Burning Bombardment Bird. Now, a lot of you have probably never seen this card before, and that's because it is a really old old fusion. It's a level 8 Fire Pyro fusion monster, and its material required is a machine type monster, which the new Electro Blaster is, and a Pyro type monster. What this card does is once per turn, soft once per turn by the way, during your main phase, you can inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each card on the field. This card cannot attack during the turn you activate this effect. This is how the new FTK is facilitated, because you're just loop this card. You summon it once, burn your opponent, link it off for like Princess, for example. Princess, bring it back, burn again, because the effect is a soft once, so it's once per turn per like copy. And when it's resummoned, it's treated as a new copy of the card. And then you can even go down not Ambler Whale, excuse me. Drawing a blank on the name here. The Zelantis line, excuse me. You can even go down a Zelantis play and then bring it back a third time and burn again. So very insane card. We do have a pretty easy way to fusion into this, which we'll talk about as we get through the rest of the extra deck. But new to the extra as well is a 1 copy of Lavalval X-Lord. Because we play the Agnimal Candle and it's a level 4 tuner monster, we can actually make X-Lord pretty easily in this deck. Not only does it function as a monster negate, or actually not a negate, it functions like more of a Ghost Ogre, because when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can destroy that monster, and then you inflict 1,000 damage to them. So it's pretty much a Ghost Ogre with a burn on a 2900 body that does float upon destruction, which is pretty nice. So we're playing that in the extra deck as well. Then we do play the 1 Infernal Flame Banshee, because again, the Electro Blaster is a level 4 extender. We also play Agnimal Candle and whatnot. That's why we bumped up on our copies of the Volcanic Rocket, just to have more level 4s in the deck to be able to make this rank 4 play. Flame Banshee can either search or dump a Pyro, which is obviously very relevant for this deck. Then because we're on the Horus package, we do play 1 Zombie Vampire, and then for going second, we do still play the 1 Garunix Eternity, Hiang of the Fire Kings, just as a crazy rank 8 to just wipe the field when we just sometimes got to clear the board of stuff. I will say that this is a bit of a flex spot. You don't have to play this if you don't want to. You can easily just get away with playing the Zombie Vampire as your only rank 8. But in testing, this has come up a few times, and I do appreciate it for what it is. If I were to cut it, I would maybe replace it for an IP Masquerena, because a little bit of a spoiler, I do not play an IP in this current extra deck. I just couldn't find the space for it. Moving on to the links, we have 1 Anima, 1 Barricade Board Blocker, who comes up because he is a machine monster. So we need the ability to put machines on board so we can actually make the Blaze Phoenix. And moving into how we're fusion summoning it, we do that through the help of Proxy F Magician. Both of these link monsters are completely generic, so they're very easy to make, and Proxy F is what helps facilitate the FCK, allowing you to fusion summon into the Blaze Phoenix in the first place. So a suite of very strong links there. Then we do play SP Little Knight, 1 Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, 1 Hida to round out the rest of the link 2s. And then moving on to the bigger links that we play, we do play the 1 copy of Promethean Princess. We're still on the Ambler Whale, 1 Zelantis, followed by the 1 Raging Phoenix to round out our extra deck count. Pretty self-explanatory there with a lot of the ratios and whatnot. Moving on to the side deck. Again, the side deck's always up to personal preference. Just keep that in mind. But I'm choosing to play a playset of Ash. I play a lot more non-engine in the side than I do in the main board. We also play a playset of Phantasme. Again, we're in a pretty link-focused format, especially post-info. Everyone and their grandmother's going to be playing Fiendsmith, and there's just going to be even more linking off going on the field. So I think Phantasme is a really nice position moving into the next format. We do play the 1 Kurikara in the sideboard, again, just as a searchable level 1 fire off of cards like Snake Eye Ash. Then we do play 3 copies of Droplet. Again, just really great board breaker. 1 copy of the Sinful Spoils of Subversion to round out the spells in the side. And then to wrap up the side deck itself, we do have a playset of Gravedigger's Trap Hole. Really insane card, especially when we know we're going first. Just even adds into more of the burn aspect and create ridiculousness of the deck. And then we also side deck the 1 Volcanic Inferno as an additional trap card that Emperor can set for when we know we're going first, and just gives us an additional disruption. So that's going to wrap it up for my updated 60 card Volcanic burn deck for the post Battles of Legend Terminal Revenge set. Stay tuned for more content. I also have an update to my Evil Eye Yubel deck list coming your way pretty soon, along with other really insane spicy stuff that you guys don't want to miss out. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, smash that subscribe button. It absolutely means the world to me. Thank you all so much. And again, happy 4th of July, and I will see you guys on the next video. This is Nick, hitting that end phase. Peace.